Tonight on ABC News Live Prime, late this evening, President Trump signs the bill to release the full Epstein files. 24 hours after it was approved by Congress and just hours after Attorney General Pam Bondi says there's new information in the case, that bill is now signed. What happens next and how soon could the files be released? The case against James Comey is on the verge of crumbling after the president's hand-picked U.S. attorney admits that the full grand jury never saw the final indictment against the former FBI director.
I'm Aaron Katersky. I'll have details on today's revelation and why it may have dealt a devastating blow to the case against former FBI Director James Comey.
Air travel in the U.S. has had its share of issues in the past few months, but now a new initiative from the Department of Transportation is focusing on restoring courtesy and class to air travel just in time for the holidays. Did you know that food makers can put untested additive ingredients into a food without FDA approval? As a result, the types of food we consume have changed drastically over the past decades, often trading substance for convenience. In tonight's Prime Focus, a look at why most food on store shelves has been processed in some way and what its impact is on our health. And actress, producer, author, and four-time Grammy Award winner Kelly Rowland is here, successful solo artist and member of the legendary Destiny's Child. We talk about her career, which spans more than 2 decades, what it's like to sell more than 100 million records, and what being an artist means to her.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Linsey Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We begin this busy Wednesday night with what's next after the rare bipartisanship in Washington to release the full Jeffrey Epstein files. After months of blocking the measure, the president a short time ago signed the veto-proof legislation into law. President Trump posted on Truth Social saying, in part, I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. This just hours after U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi suggested investigators have obtained new information about the case but gave no further details. We spoke to a Jeffrey Epstein survivor who was in Washington yesterday in the chamber before the president's signature. And in that vigil, when survivors found out together the Senate had passed it. Our Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas leads us off with the latest reporting.
Tonight, the bill demanding that the Justice Department release the Epstein files is now law. The president signing it some 24 hours after it was overwhelmingly approved by Congress, something he said he would do.
Sure, I would. Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much because, honestly, I don't want to take it away from us.
The Justice Department now has 30 days to make the files public. Tonight, some Republican senators saying it shouldn't take that long.
This shouldn't be a new issue, so they should be ready to go. I hope they release them immediately.
But even though the issue has been brewing for weeks with pressure mounting, today Attorney General Pam Bondi would not explain how the process will play out and what, if anything, will be released.
We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims.
I pressed the AG on whether that means the full files will come out.
When you say follow the law, Madam Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. We will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Lawmakers on both sides watching these next steps very closely.
There must be no funny business from Donald Trump. This is not an invitation for Donald Trump to pick and choose his version of the truth.
President Trump didn't need Congress to get the Epstein files out. He could have just ordered Bondi to do it on his own. Instead, in recent days, he instructed the Attorney General to launch a new investigation into Epstein's ties to Democrats. Critics call that an effort to deflect from the president's own association with Epstein, noting Bondi herself had closed the books on the Epstein case earlier this year. At the time, she said the department had not uncovered evidence that could lead them to investigate anyone else. Today, I asked her what had changed.
What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information new information, additional information.
The Attorney General would not say what the new information was.
Still a lot of uncertainty here. Our Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas joins us now. So, Pierre, bottom line, is it still not clear yet when these files will be released?
We don't know if the new investigations will lead to a delay in the release of the Epstein files, Linsey. Critics warn it could be an effort to stall, but those victims who we saw on Capitol Hill, who were there to witness Congress act, are demanding justice
and total transparency.
We saw that loud and clear. Pierre Thomas Forrest, our thanks to you. We want to go straight to Catherine Faulders now. She's our managing editor in Washington covering politics. Catherine, the president just said in a social post that he signed the bill to release the Epstein files. What else did he say in that post?
He did. That's what he says. He says that he signed the full bill to release the Epstein files that just came to his desk this afternoon. He does this, Linsey, in a pretty long social media post here. He rails against Democrats. He essentially says, obviously, we know that he launched this investigation, that he directed his attorney general earlier this week to launch an investigation into Democrats. He says because of that investigation and because he signed this bill, that maybe more information about them will come to light. Again, that's the changing of the narrative here a bit. He goes on to say that his Department of Justice has already handed over thousands of pages of documents to Congress. What he's referring to there are documents that DOJ did already hand over more than a month ago to the House Oversight Committee. It's not new documents, if you will. It's only a fraction of the documents that the government has in their possession. So the big question here going forward, of course, is when do we see these documents? Now, the ball is in DOJ's and FBI's court now on this. Will they post them on their website? How do we intend to see these? When will we see these? If we read the bill text closely, it says very specifically that documents can be withheld due to an active investigation. Is that something we end up hearing from DOJ? Do we ultimately see all of these files? There's still a lot of unknown questions, but the reality is it went to Trump's desk. He signed it. So now we have to see what the administration releases of these files and when they do that.
President Trump also said in a post tonight that he will meet with New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani at the White House on Friday. What do we know about that meeting?
Yeah, that will be an interesting meeting. We don't have many details other than what the president posted on his social media account, but that meeting will happen on Friday. We've reached out to the Mamdani campaign to get more information about that. I will say this is something that Trump did tease over the weekend. He told reporters that the mayor reached out to him, said he would like to meet with us, and that's something we'll work out. Trump told reporters, we want to see everything work out well for New York. So that would be a pretty remarkable meeting, given that Trump endorsed his opponent and hasn't said particularly nice things about Mamdani and vice versa. So how does that meeting go? Are cameras brought in? What time does that happen? We still are unclear, other than the fact that the president has said publicly he wants to see everything work out well for New York. So what does that mean? I'm sure we will find out a couple of days from now.
It'll be very interesting. All right, Catherine Faulders, our thanks to you. And we were grateful to be joined by Danny Bensky earlier tonight, who is a Jeffrey Epstein survivor. We spoke to her before the president signed the bill to release the files. Let's take a look. As you know, you were there. An emotional cheer erupted in the House chamber after the vote was called. Then, while you were at a vigil on Capitol Hill, you found out the Senate had also passed this bill by unanimous consent. What were you feeling in that moment?
Oh, my goodness. Well, first of all, Linsey, thank you so much for having me on today. Yeah, survivors really thought that we were going to have to come back in January and February and really speak our truths and have to tell our stories to multiple senators. And that was sort of what we were prepared for. That was what we thought the road would be. And to just have, even just in the gallery, that moment all together, sitting there with your sisterhood and with the Roberts, Virginia Giuffre's family, there was that moment of absolute elation in such a beautifully nonpartisan way when the House passed it. And then we came back and we were at the vigil. And the vigil, we had this beautiful moment honoring those that have passed due to trauma and due to not being able to recover from the trauma that they endured in their youth. And we were speaking of Virginia Giuffre. And that was when Lauren Hirsch, who is the director of World Without Exploitation, comes over to me and gives me a little bit in the ear and says, it's on his desk. Like, the bill is on his desk. And I said, on Trump's desk? It has to go through the Senate. There's no way. And then they said, no, it passed the Senate. It's a unanimous vote. And
just taking a step back here, this has been something that you and the tight-knit group of survivors have been pushing for such a long time. Does it Does it actually feel real yet that it's on track to happen?
No, not really. I think we have been through a lot, 5 administrations. And I think we have been tirelessly working at meeting with congressional leaders and really just trying to voice our stories in as many places as possible. And I have to say, something extraordinary happened where the more we came forward, yes, we are Epstein and Maxwell survivors, but we started hearing from other survivors. And there are so many out there who have survived this sort of abuse. And I think that this is really becoming a story about American democracy at work. And I think that that's what's so fascinating about it, because people got out there and they called their congressional leaders, they called their senators. And so, yes, we are sort of, in media a lot, but we know that there is a huge amount of people out there who stood in support of this and really pushed it over the finish line. And that is what became just that extraordinary feeling of unity.
You've developed close friendships over the years with many of the other survivors. You've celebrated highs and lows together. What's the most important thing that you all want to see happen now?
We just want to see it all come forward so that we understand the process. I think until we have the files, like many of us have not seen our own files, so I do feel the more information we have, the more we can lay out a plan for accountability. And that's really what it comes back to always for us, is holding the powerful to account the same way that we would hold our children to account. We just want to make sure, accountability can look so different in so many ways. It can look like taking a name off of a scholarship fund or taking down a name of a statue. And we just want that level of accountability that the UK is really holding Andrew to. We would love to see here in the US.
Do you trust the administration to release the files? We know that Attorney General Pam Bondi has said that they will be released within 30 days. She's also said that there may be some new investigations that could prolong the release. Any concerns that there may be a loophole that the files don't actually get released in full in a prompt time?
It's definitely a fear for survivors. I think we have talked many times about how this felt. We have a little bit of whiplash from this because just a few days ago, President Trump had said that he would not release the files and was vehemently against it. And now he's turned right back around and has said that he's on board, which is so great. We love that support and we want that support because, again, it's not political for us. It is just deeply personal. So I think we do have a little bit of hesitancy, and we're just really hoping that there aren't any new cases that would stall getting every single part of that file released.
Danny Bensky, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Next tonight, a potentially devastating blow to the Justice Department's case against former FBI Director James Comey. President Trump's handpicked U.S. Attorney Linsey Halligan admitted in court today that a full grand jury never saw the indictment against him. It was only shown to the foreperson and another grand juror. We're also learning Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's office gave orders to prosecutors not to disclose a key memo. ABC News legal contributor James Sample is standing by. But first, here's our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, the criminal case against former FBI Director James Comey is in serious doubt after a stunning admission in court by President Trump's hand-picked prosecutor. Linsey Halligan has never tried a criminal case. Today, the judge put her on the spot, and she admitted she did not show the full grand jury the final version of the indictment before the forepersons signed it. The disclosure shocked the courtroom into silence. Comey and his family began whispering, and his attorney called for the case to be thrown out. Trump installed Halligan after he forced out her predecessor, who determined there was not enough evidence to charge Comey. Sources told ABC News career prosecutors documented the conclusion in a memo. Today, when the judge asked about that memo, Halligan's partner said Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche ordered him not to discuss it.
I stand by what the testimony you summarized.
Comey has pleaded not guilty to charges he misled the Senate Judiciary Committee when he denied authorizing leaks to the press.
I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial.
Comey was indicted days after President Trump publicly urged his attorney general to pursue charges against his political enemies, demanding justice must be served now. Comey's attorneys seizing on that post in court, arguing the case is vindictive. It is effectively an admission that this is a political prosecution. But today, prosecutors insisted Halligan brought the case on her own, telling the judge Ms. Halligan was not a puppet.
Aaron Katersky joins us now. Aaron, what comes next here?
Well, the judge, Lindsay, is now weighing the actions of this prosecutor, Linsey Halligan, who lacks criminal experience and who acknowledged today that she never showed the full grand jury the final copy of the indictment. There are more written arguments coming into the judge, but tonight it sure looks like the case against James Comey may be hanging by a thread. Lindsay?
Sure seems that way. Aaron Katersky for us. Thanks so much, Aaron. And we are joined now by ABC News legal contributor James Sample. We are keeping you busy, James. Yesterday it was congressional redistricting. Today it's the federal case against James Comey. So how serious is it for a prosecutor to not show the final version of an indictment to a full grand jury and only show it to 2 members?
It could potentially be quite serious, Lindsay. The answer is a little bit, we don't really know because this is such uncharted territory, to quote one of the judges who was considering this matter earlier in the week before today's hearing. This territory is uncharted, is truly unprecedented in the sense that this just doesn't happen. So it could potentially be quite serious that the full grand jury never saw the indictment that is now pending against James Comey. And clearly, both sides have an incentive to characterize this a little bit differently. Comey's defense attorney, Michael Dreeben, said there effectively is no indictment at this point of James Comey because the full grand jury never voted on the paper that reflects the indictment with which he's being prosecuted, by which he's being prosecuted now. On the other side, the prosecution also has an argument that this is a paperwork error. If this were one error standing alone, it might not be fatal. It might be the kind of thing that the government would be allowed to correct. It certainly, however, does not speak well of the process that took place in this indictment.
And what do you make of the fact that this isn't the first time Comey's legal team and judges have raised concerns about this prosecution?
Lindsay, I think that is the elephant in the room. I think that that is the real thing that threatens this prosecution. It is not just the one flaw. It is that the sum of the parts is greater. The whole is greater than the individual parts. So there are 3 judges. This case has basically just begun, and we're nowhere near the merit stages. And yet there are already 3 judges who've had to consider questions. To give you the quick laundry list, and it's a long list, but we'll do it as quickly as possible. Is Linsey Halligan's appointment to be the U.S. attorney unlawful? That's a significant question. That's being considered by Judge Curry, who had brought in for a hearing last week and has pledged to rule by Thanksgiving. Then there are 3 questions initially passed on by a magistrate judge earlier this week. Did the prosecution's presentation to the grand jury violate material that was privileged, provide the grand jurors with material that was subject to privilege? Did that presentation mislead with respect to Comey's Fifth Amendment rights? Did the grand jury get told that there was more evidence yet to come and that they didn't need to rely on the records solely before them, which would be a colossal error? And then the matter that was actually supposed to be the source of today's hearing, is this a vindictive prosecution in violation of Comey's rights? All of which was informed by Aaron's report there and by today's hearing, in which we learned remarkably, imagine that the government is defending this as though it's not a vindictive prosecution, but then also has to explain that the Deputy Attorney General's office instructed the line AUSA not to provide evidence to the judge as to the declination memo declining to prosecute Comey under the prior U.S. attorney. That is a lot. It's hard to believe that this case is going to actually reach the merits phase. It may get stopped long before it starts.
So let's say that's the case and the case is tossed out. Is there a world where Halligan and her office bring a new indictment to a grand jury?
There is conceivably a scenario where, pursuant to another statute, that Halligan or that someone else in that office could bring the prosecution. But the catch with this scenario is that when she was installed, it was just days before the statute of limitations on the charges against Comey was to be up. So now, in order to bring a charge again, in order to refile an indictment, you would need to find a way to say that the statute of limitations, which is clearly expired, no longer applies despite all of these errors. That would be a heavy, heavy lift.
James Sample, keeping it simple for us once again on all these complicated cases. Always appreciate your analysis. Thanks so much. There are newly released images of U.S. Marines conducting training missions, including live fire exercises as the U.S. military presence builds up off the coast of Venezuela. ABC's Matt Rivers reports.
New images tonight showing U.S. Marines training here in Trinidad and Tobago. Multiple Osprey aircraft carrying out joint exercises with the local military as the U.S. ramps up pressure on Venezuela. For weeks, Marines from the same unit conducting live fire training operations across the Caribbean. Harrier fighter jets bombing targets. It comes as the New York Times reports President Trump signed off on additional covert CIA operations inside Venezuela that could lay the groundwork for a bigger military campaign, citing multiple people briefed on the matter. The president saying this week he is not ruling out putting U.S. troops on the ground in Venezuela.
I don't rule out anything. We just have to take care of Venezuela.
The Times also reporting Trump authorized a new round of back-channel negotiations with Venezuela's president Nicolás Maduro, who reportedly offered to step down after a few years, but the White House rejected that plan.
Matt Rivers joins us now. Matt, what's the end game here?
Well, that's the question everyone down here is asking, Lindsay. I don't think there's a very clear answer to it, but what I can tell you is that experts say it is very much not just about drugs. This is what you heard from the Trump administration when all of this started weeks ago now. It is very much now about what experts say would be removing President Maduro from power one way or another. Lindsay?
Matt Rivers for us. Thanks so much, Matt. Now to the war in Ukraine. Russia has launched a massive new wave of attacks, unleashing 470 drones and 48 missiles across the country. The death toll is rising, at least 26 killed. It comes as the U.S. delivers a new peace proposal to Ukraine, one that heavily favors Russia. Here's ABC's chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell.
Yeah, Lindsay, this was one of the deadliest attacks this year. Horrific attack. This residential apartment block in the west of the country, in Ternopil, a city that hasn't been hit so far, taking a direct strike, killing at least 25 people, including 3 children, dozens wounded. Incredibly, one man pulled out alive after hours trapped beneath the rubble. And amidst the bombardment, we now have senior U.S. military officials in Kyiv to try to restart peace talks. A U.S. plan that's been presented to Ukraine, as ABC understands it, includes reducing its military, Russia keeping all the land it's taken, recognizing Crimea, and a demilitarized zone being established. But honestly, this largely reflects Russia's position, not Ukraine's, and he seems unlikely to go any way towards fulfilling Donald Trump's promise of ending this war quickly. Lindsay?
Thank you. Tonight, a suspect is facing federal terrorism charges after a horrific attack on a commuter train in Chicago. Prosecutors say that suspect was seen on surveillance, allegedly setting a woman on fire. Here's our Rhiannon Alley.
Tonight, the man seen in these surveillance images allegedly setting a woman on fire on a Chicago commuter train is facing federal terrorism charges.
A 26-year-old woman was deliberately set on fire by Lawrence Reed in an unprovoked attack.
According to a criminal complaint and train surveillance, on the night of November 17th, 50-year-old Lawrence Reed, holding a small bottle, approaches a woman from behind, where he took the cap off the bottle and poured a liquid from the bottle all over the victim's head and body. Prosecutors say he lit the bottle and used it to light her on fire.
When the train stopped and the victim was able to muster the strength to stumble on the platform, 2 good Samaritans put out the flames.
Reed was captured about 12 hours later. Surveillance images from a gas station allegedly show Reed filling a bottle with gasoline before the attack.
Lindsay, Reed faces life if convicted. That rider still has critical injuries, and prosecutors are now asking for prayers. Lindsay?
And thank you. Former Olympic snowboarder and fugitive Ryan Wedding is facing new charges in the federal drug trafficking case against him. The Justice Department says Wedding ordered the killing of a witness who was set to testify against him. The Canadian athlete was allegedly the largest distributor of cocaine in Canada, according to Attorney General Pam Bondi. He's currently on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list. The world's most valuable company, NVIDIA, reported its earnings after the markets closed today. The question investors and beyond were asking, is there an AI bubble, or is the AI revolution here to stay, at least for the time being? Many were pointing toward these earnings to help answer that question. So what happened? We're joined now by our own Elizabeth Schulze. And Elizabeth, I know that you have been poring over this earnings report.
Yeah.
What can you tell us?
Look, a lot better than expected, Lindsay. It was a blowout report, not just for this quarter when it comes to sales from NVIDIA, but also looking ahead to the months ahead. And that is exactly what investors wanted to hear, because they've been worried that maybe all of this talk of AI and this investment that's going toward artificial intelligence has been overblown. Basically, what NVIDIA does is it makes those computer chips that are so essential to power artificial intelligence. Without it, you couldn't run things like ChatGPT or Google's Gemini at a really fast pace on a big scale. So NVIDIA is really the poster child of this AI boom that we've seen. And what it's saying in these earnings is things are looking great. We have orders coming in. In other words, we have a lot of sales now, and we expect more sales going forward, too.
And so what are some of the domino effects that this great report could reveal?
So this is a staggering reality right now. NVIDIA is worth more than $4.5 trillion. It is the most valuable company in the world, and it makes up 7% of the S&P 500. So when this stock moves, your retirement account moves too. This has a massive effect on the rest of the market, and you think about just how people think about it as the leader when it comes to other tech stocks. So the fact that it's saying things are still looking strong for us and it has kind of the numbers to back that up will likely ease a lot of investors' concerns about kind of an imminent bubble bursting. We see in after hours trading that stock is moving higher. That's also lifting other stocks higher, which is a relief because we've had a pretty rough month for stocks so far. That said, not completely out of the woods here. Very fair that we're asking these questions, just giving the sheer amount of money that's sloshing around with artificial intelligence and the promises of what it's going to do. Investors rightfully are asking, when will we start to see this real transformation kind of in day-to-day life, and what is it going to take to get there? What's the timeline for that?
And that's still to be determined.
That's still an open question. I mean, NVIDIA says it's the future, but it makes the hardware for this. We still have questions about what the software looks like. A lot more on this road ahead.
All right. You're going to have a lot
keep looking at the numbers.
A lot of reports coming up.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth. The outbreak of infant botulism linked to recalled ByHeart powdered baby formula has now grown to 31 cases across 15 states. Federal health agencies said since last week, 8 more cases of the bacterial illness have been reported, and that all infected babies have been hospitalized, but no child has died. The FDA warns that some of the recalled formula could be contaminated, is still being found on store shelves. The FDA's investigation to determine the point of contamination is still ongoing. No real ID, no passport. No problem. The TSA has proposed a new rule where passengers traveling without either form of identification would pay a fee of $18 in order to have their identity verified by a new biometric kiosk system. The fee would then allow passengers to access TSA checkpoints for 10 days. The public comment period for the proposed rule begins tomorrow. Pope Leo received a special gift from Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. Pritzker, visiting Leo at the Vatican, gave the Pope a 4-pack of an American mild ale called De Pope. The beer is a new release from the Burning Bush Brewery on Chicago's north side. Pope Leo then told the governor, "We'll put that in the fridge." The Vatican did not say whether the Pope plans to sample said beverage. And still ahead, the Department of Transportation is focusing a new campaign on restoring courtesy and class to air travel after a surge in reported incidents. We look at the issues by the numbers. And NASA is revealing new images of an interstellar comet that has prompted conspiracy theories. I'll tell you what the agency has to say about it. And my conversation with the multi-hyphenate superstar Kelly Rowland about her life and career and going back out on tour. Welcome back, everyone. Air travel in the U.S. has certainly experienced issues in recent years, but a new initiative from the Department of Transportation focuses on one issue not often considered: civility. The DOT says its campaign, called The Golden Age of Travel Starts With You, is meant to restore courtesy and class to air travel and fight a reported rise in unruly incidents in recent years. Let's take a look at those incidents by the numbers. The department says the FAA has seen a 400% rise of in-flight outbursts since 2019, ranging from disruptive behavior to violence. The DOT also says there have been 13,800 unruly passenger reports since 2021. That year alone, FAA data shows just under 6,000 reported incidents, more than any other year since at least 2017. Also in 2021, the DOT says 1 in 5 flight attendants reported that they had experienced physical incidents. We should note that numbers have dropped in years since FAA data shows just over 2,000 reported incidents each in 2023 and 2024, and just over 1,400 reported incidents in 2025 so far. The campaign announcement included suggested questions from Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, encouraging passengers to consider if they're helping pregnant or elderly passengers, if they're dressing with respect, if they're keeping control of their children, and if they're saying please and thank you. Coming up, our investigation into the types of foods we eat and how they impact our health. And one of the greatest tennis players of all time is now set to receive a major honor next year. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. The types of food we consume have changed drastically over the past decades. We eat far more processed foods with flavors and colorings forged in laboratories, often trading substance for convenience. From frozen dinners to fast food to even a store-bought apple, most food on store shelves has been processed in some way. This process in food science has indeed helped feed the world, but at what cost to our health? ABC News medical correspondent Dr. Darian Sutton in an ABC News Live half-hour special tonight after Prime will break down the science, marketing, and demand for processed and ultra-processed foods in Gut Check, the foods we eat. Here's a sneak peek.
My life was very busy prior to Daily Harvest. They gave this sense that they were sourcing their food carefully from farmers, that they were having a higher standard for their food, and that we were eating organic, vegan food.
Seattle resident Sarah Schott initially bought Daily Harvest prepackaged meals to make her life easier. She wanted to keep a healthy diet.
Daily Harvest customers trusted the brand because of their marketing.
At Daily Harvest, we speak your food language. Spread love the Daily Harvest way.
But Sarah fell ill. She says she was sickened from terraflower and the lentil and leek crumbles from Daily Harvest. Terraflower is derived from a plant found in South America and is an additive that has not been vetted by the FDA.
I had undescribable abdominal agony, and my extremities were so cold I couldn't get warm.
The products from Daily Harvest ended up being linked to close to 400 illnesses across 39 states. The lentil and leek crumbles were voluntarily recalled in June of 2022. In a statement to ABC News, Daily Harvest says they've since adopted a stricter review of ingredients and now only use ingredients with a proven track record of safe use in the US or the EU. Sarah says she received an award letter of $15,000 from Daily Harvest, but has yet to see any money. Daily Harvest said they fulfilled the terms of the settlement.
I do not feel protected by the American food system. We've created a food system where essentially you can import on a pinky promise.
Sarah's illness happened because of the way the American government oversees our food supply. The Food and Drug Administration abides by the GRAS principle, which stands for Generally Recognized as Safe. A legal loophole allows companies to declare an additive as generally recognized as safe without a formal safety review. In 2024, after the recall, the FDA declared that there wasn't enough data on terraflower to consider it GRAS, therefore restricting its use as a food ingredient.
We have a system when a company is designing a food product and they're picking the ingredients to put in there, they're in charge of deciding whether the ingredients are safe.
So through generally recognized as safe, companies are able to skip over some of the processes of safety in order to get additives.
They skip almost over all of them.
In a statement to ABC News, the Department of Health and Human Services says that under RFK Jr., the FDA is, quote, developing a proposed rule to require mandatory GRAS submissions for new substances, ending self-GRAS determinations, adding that this newly proposed rule is in final review. When food makers add additives and take other steps to refine their food, that food is typically referred to as ultra-processed. It's impossible to talk about the American diet without mentioning them. In a study published by the CDC in August, people aged 1 to 18 consumed over 60% of their calories from ultra-processed foods. For adults, it was a little lower, around 50%.
Can you grab me a lemon?
But Gretchen Adler, a health and wellness content creator, is forging a different path when it comes to her family's diet.
How was it? Mama, it's really good. Can I try? Yeah, strong. Extra virgin olive oil, organic. I've been on Instagram since Instagram launched.
Here's everything I made for my 4-year-old's birthday party.
And I started showcasing what I was making in the kitchen. People were very interested in what I was showing, from homemade butter to homemade sour cream. As you can see, this meat is extremely tender, super soft. It cooked at a low temperature.
Gretchen says she's always led a clean and healthy lifestyle, and she isn't alone.
Let's make healthy foods affordable.
For years, there has been a growing online movement around so-called healthy and clean eating.
Taking back your family's health, their well-being, and their future back into our hands.
And Health Secretary RFK Jr. embraced this trend as a part of his Make America Healthy Again initiative, later backed by the Trump administration. While the Trump administration adopted the rhetoric of the MAHA movement, they have at the same time rolled back regulations and cut programs that supported fresh, locally sourced foods. But the conversation around ultra-processed foods has continued to dominate public attention.
When MAHA started, it really aligned with me. I personally never want to be involved politically, but what the MAHA stands for is what I stand for as well.
A study by the CDC shows that lower-income Americans consume more calories from ultra-processed foods than families with the highest income, highlighting how time and food access helps shape nutrition. Gretchen insists, though, that her content is for everyone.
Thank you so much. This is not geared to one specific person. I truly believe that everybody should live like this. I think it just takes education, and at a minimum, if we can have the food standards that Europe has, that would be a huge win.
Europeans don't adhere to the GRAS principle like the FDA. Instead, a product or additive must be proven safe before it hits grocery stores.
We really do wait until our house is on fire to solve a problem. Where in Europe they're saying, it's better to prevent some of these problems because we may not have the resources and expertise to do it.
In France, food and culture are inseparable. The baguette, for instance, has protected UNESCO heritage status. The bread staple in America tends to be sliced bread, and ABC's Maggie Rulli went to a French grocery store on the hunt to find it.
So I actually just found this in this French store. It's American-style sandwich bread. It only has around 8 ingredients.
In America, sliced bread is generally considered ultra-processed. According to a study in the European Journal of Nutrition, Sweden and UK ranked the highest in ultra-processed food consumption in Europe, tied at over 40%, still much lower than the roughly 55% average of the United States.
The most important thing is that we fix our food system and that there's real teeth in how we regulate it. We have to think about a more comprehensive system that serves the needs of all Americans.
A much-needed gut check for us all. Our thanks to Dr. Sutton and Maggie Rulli for that. You can see more of Dr. Sutton's reporting in the ABC News Live special, Gut Check, The Foods We Eat, which will be available to stream on Disney Plus and Hulu. Still ahead, she's an actress, author, and 4-time Grammy winner. Kelly Rowland is here to tell us about being back on tour and how motherhood has changed her. And a shocking surprise for next year's World Cup. The qualifying teams announced today that almost no one was expecting. Hundreds of millions of dollars worth of cocaine seized. Who will take part in the 2026 World Cup here in the U.S.? And the clearest look yet at a mysterious comet one scientists say could actually be aliens? These stories and more in tonight's rundown. Today, the U.S. Coast Guard offloaded tens of millions of dollars worth of cocaine at Port Everglades, making it one of the largest seizures by a single ship during a single mission in history. Several government officials were in attendance as the agency showed off more than 49,000 pounds of cocaine, worth an estimated $362 million. Coast Guard officials said more than 20,000 Americans die from cocaine-related deaths a year. 42 other nations have qualified for the 2026 World Cup that'll take place in the United States, Canada, and Mexico next summer, including the island nation of Curacao, now the smallest nation by population to ever qualify for the tournament. Uzbekistan and Jordan are also first-time qualifiers, and the playoffs could see more new faces with New Caledonia, Suriname, Kosovo, and Albania all in the mix. Haiti punched its ticket to the tournament for the first time since 1974. The final 6 places for the 2026 World Cup will be determined by 2 playoff tournaments in March. 4 more teams will qualify from Europe, along with 2 from the rest of the world. A volcano in Indonesia erupted today, and the country increased the alert level of Java Island's tallest mountain to the highest. Java is the most populated region of the country, and officials are warning people to stay at least 5 miles away from the volcano due to potential hot ash clouds or lava flows. No injuries have been reported from the eruption yet. NASA released new images of an interstellar comet today, just the 3rd object from elsewhere in the galaxy ever confirmed in our solar system. The images show the object as a bright point of light surrounded by a blurry halo of gas and dust. The comet has fueled wild theories that it could be extraterrestrial technology or an alien spacecraft, but there's been no such scientific evidence to support those claims. NASA has said the object is consistent with what we expect from a comet. It will make its closest path to Earth on December 19th and does not pose a threat to our planet. A Gustav Klimt portrait painting that helped save the lives of its Jewish subject during the Holocaust sold for $236.4 million, a record for a modern art piece. The portrait of Elizabeth Lederer was bought after a 20-minute bidding war at Sotheby's in New York, where the flashiest item of the night was a solid gold, fully functioning toilet that went for $12.1 million. One of the best tennis players of all time, Roger Federer, will be inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame in an induction celebration set for August 2026 in Newport, Rhode Island. The Swiss star won 20 Grand Slams, the first male player to reach the benchmark, and clinched 103 career titles before retiring in 2022. He held the world #1 ranking for a record 237 weeks straight between 2004 and 2008. Actress, producer, author, and 4-time Grammy Award winner Kelly Rowland has a career that spans more than 2 decades. The multi-hyphenate superstar has sold more than 100 million records as both a solo artist and member of the legendary girl group Destiny's Child. She's starred in shows and movies like Girlfriends and Tyler Perry's Mea Culpa, and has even written a New York Times bestseller. I had the chance to sit down with Kelly Rowland yesterday to talk about her tour and what it means to be an artist. Take a look. You're now going on tour. Many people were excited when it first was announced. Monica and Brandy, The Boy Is Mine. Yes. What's it like being back on the road, and especially with friends?
Yes, it's so much fun. I've had the best time, and Brandy and Monica have been so amazing, such wonderful tour partners. And when they announced this tour, I was super excited, very excited that they asked me to be a part of it. Money Long, of course, is a part of the tour, and Jamal Roberts, Maya has dropped in and out of the tour as well. It's been wonderful.
And these outfits, by the way, hello. You and Method Man also co-starring, and you're also in front of the screen and behind the camera as well, with relationship goals. How challenging is that to do both? You're in it and you're also behind the scenes.
First of all, big shout out to Amazon and Devon Franklin. I'm so delighted that they trusted me in this role, in the space as a co-EP as well. So I'm really, really excited about this film. And Method Man is so much fun to work with. I can imagine. A wonderful leading man. I could communicate with him and vice versa. I'm really excited for people to see the film.
We're looking forward to that. And next year, you're joining The Voice UK version.
Yes.
Many people know you're on Netflix's Building the Band.
Yes.
Give us a sense of how important it is for you to really kind of help and shape and mold the next generation of singers.
I mean, you know, the industry's changed so much, but one thing to me that continues to be rich and relevant for all artists is the work ethic and you know, the grind. The grind is real. You know, when people don't see the work being done, you know, all the groundwork that you're laying as an artist for the music, the kind of artist and performer you want to be, that's really important. And I just like to, you know, make sure I'm there to cheer them along the way. Yeah.
And we've talked about all the different hats that you wear. Obviously, your philanthropic work is also very important, for you. Tell us about Baby to Baby.
Oh my gosh. Baby to Baby is just, I actually met Kelly Sawyer and Jessica Alba. Actually, we were at the gym at the same time. And I remember Kelly saying, you know, you're gonna receive a lot of like baby gifts and all that stuff that, you know, you probably won't use. Or she said all the stuff that you won't use and things you might get doubles of, can you please give that to my babies? And I'm thinking to myself, how many babies you got? And she was talking about her babies, you know, with Baby to Baby. Like her and Nora Weinstein take on these families and these mothers and these babies as if they were their own. And when she said that, I heard her heart. I heard how full of joy she was talking about Baby to Baby, and then I went to go see what Baby to Baby was about, and then I got my hands into Baby to Baby. Then I packed up the satchels, and I had my own babies, and I knew what that felt like. You know what I mean? And all the responsibility that goes through that, and the basic essential things that you need that mothers and families don't have, and babies don't have, and don't have access to, and Baby to Baby does all that, and it's so beautiful. So to go and be, you know, a part of the Baby to Baby family. I'm just really proud of that, for sure.
And of course, you wrote a book yourself on motherhood, so this is kind of just second nature.
It is. Motherhood is just a gift that just keeps on giving to me. Like, my children are my world, and I'm so grateful that I was trusted with them by God. I just love my boys so much.
We have to ask.
Yes.
I'm sure you get this all the time. Many people know one of the highlights for many of the fans during the Cowboy Carter tour was when Destiny's Child reunited, had that surprise performance. Any chance that there might be another reunion or song together?
We haven't talked about it.
All right.
No, we haven't talked about it. But I mean, I'm super proud of being that Cowboy Carter tour, which broke so many records. And, you know, just the way she did it and the style that she did it, just with so much greatness and Black excellence in the most beautiful way, and unapologetic and bold. And now the way Michelle has her Grammy nom for Death Becomes Her. I'm just proud of all of us and all of our, you know, individual roads and journeys that we're traveling, but we continue to, you know, root each other on and push each other, you know what I mean? Like, and that's one of the most beautiful gifts that Destiny's Child has ever given us.
That's sisterhood.
Yeah,
that's so evident. Kelly Rowland, thank you so much for coming back on the show. You can catch her as special guest on the Boy Is Mine tour through December of this year. A titan in the music industry, coined the king of reggaeton, Daddy Yankee, is making his grand return to music after a brief retirement. The Puerto Rican superstar is back, this time on a mission with a message, spreading his faith, positivity, and making the kind of music that he says aligns with his new outlook. Roxy Diaz sat down exclusively with the global phenomenon to discuss his new path.
A lot of us thought that we weren't going to see you hitting that stage again. Was it always your intention to step away and not return to music, or did you know that you were going to return in a different light?
No, actually, my intention was to stop and retire, actually. But I went through a lot in these years that, you know, for some reason, God brought me back with a mission. That's it, simple. You know, it's all about challenging myself since I was a teenager, and now I'm proving that, you know, there's a room for music with a good message.
And you're not really speaking of it as if it's Christian-based music. You're saying that it's music with a message, music that feels good.
Yeah.
Is that how you want it to stay? Because how would you categorize your songs now?
I categorize it as a music with purpose, you know, with faith and positive and like Sonríele. for instance, Sonríele is a medicine for the people. Like everybody that hears Sonríele change their days.
Nunca dejo de sonreír, pase lo que pase voy a ser feliz, todos los procesos los entendí, pasa cosas malas para que mentir.
I'm not thinking about numbers, I'm not thinking about streamings, I'm not thinking about all of that. I'm thinking about having an experience with my music, and that's what is happening right now.
Looking forward to listening to that. Don't miss Roxy's full interview with Daddy Yankee as he reflects on the incredible career that led him to today. Daddy Yankee, A Higher Note, airs tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. right here on ABC News Live. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us.